All right,
All
Nick.
right.
Yep, we are live. Top 9. Stevenson just tanked the ball. This ballpark does not give up home runs unless they're absolutely just demolished, apparently.
Yeah, you have to really get a hold of one here. Good for triples. I thought we'd see a little bit more of. We saw some attempts yesterday, but I thought we'd see a lot of that in this series.
All right, chat. All right, guys. We can do this. I'd really like a run here, but yeah, I don't know. This game's been weird. Feels similar to last night. Kind of feels exactly like last night.
Yeah.
Feels like we're losing, but we're not. Diaz is obviously coming out for the 9th. I think we need to debate that tonight, right?
I think we're good tonight.
Yeah, we're just hitting fly balls. Genuinely, probably that one might not have got on a Great American, to be fair, but there was a lot of baseballs that were hit tonight that would have been at a Great American ballpark. I don't care what Wooded Dog says. Oh man, boy, we wanted meaningful baseball. We said we just want some meaningful baseball. June, July. They're giving it to us.
About Lucas Sims, man. Whew.
Yeah, did his job, didn't he?
I better add a question mark here on the bullpen because I don't want to be doing any. I don't want to be doing any jinxing here.
That's right.
So
Bullpen.
we're just.
Mark.
It's a placeholder.
That's a
placeholder.
No, it's not a hit. All right, let's do it. We're going live 9, bottom 9. Here we roll.
All right. All right. Newman's 1 for 4. Did Fairchild hit?
All right, chat. Need likes. Need the likes, boys and girls.
Likes equals dubs.
We need them. Need all we can get. We need to throw strikes. That's the main priority here. Main ingredient to win this baseball game. We just throw strikes, Nick. I think we'll be in a good spot. Let's force the Royals to have to get like 3 or 4 hits in this inning. If they do, we'll tip our cap.
Yeah, we got through the heart of the order, so
yeah. Well, 3 outs or 3 outs. Still need to get them.
We're in a better spot.
Yeah.
2 top 8. The Twins just walked off the Brewers.
All right, let's get it
Twins
done here.
Twins were down 3-0 early. They were down 2 runs in the 9th inning. How about that? All right.
Pirates.
Wow,
win.
Pirates are losing too. They were in a rain delay, but then down 3-2 in the 5th
against the Cubs, right?
Yep. Have to root for the Cubs. I feel dirty. Yeah, 3-run off Devin Williams, man.
Yeah, good closer.
I mean, he's no Ricky Karcher. I mean,
no,
wow,
definitely not.
Wow,
that Ricky Karcher experience was probably, I would assume, kind of like skydiving. Was thrilling at the moment, but once you touch the ground, you're like, all right, I think I'm good.
I don't know. I might be bored here. I might.
All right, I'll take a boring inning. Trust me, my heart could use it.
All right, we got a bottom ticker now. Let's go. There's so much that happened in Louisville. It took me like 8 hours to write their box score.
We don't deserve to win this game either. It feels gross. We're getting out hit 8-5. We've walked.
We have more walks though. We have more walks.
Are you sure?
We have more walks off Lyles. We had 3.
Yeah.
Williamson didn't walk anyone.
Throw strikes. That's what we need, boys. Let's go.
I'm not missing. I don't even have a box score recap here.
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't.
I think this one's pretty simple.
All right, come on. Come on. I don't even know if we're timed up, by the way. We didn't plan this at all. I just seen
I think
first
you're
pitch.
slightly ahead of me. I'm just
All right,
seeing
I'll
the first
pause.
pitch right now.
All right, I'll pause.
I don't think you need long though. Just give me a little pause.
I did.
Little pause.
I'm going to tell you, pitch number 2 is going in. Pitch caught.
Pitch caught. I mean, you're just slightly ahead of me.
I think I fixed it. I gave it the old, you might be ahead of me now.
I'm
Yes,
seeing the 1-1. The
it's
pitch.
On its way.
Oh my God! What a swing!
Horrible swing. What are you doing? I mean, here's my take when you got an elite level closer. I thought this way about Chapman for the longest time. When you're a professional hitter, I understand that you want to go up there and you want to hit, but you also got to understand that your best chance to probably get on base genuinely is this guy just walks you. And I felt that way about Chapman all the time. It's like, there for a minute, it felt like there was a better chance of Chapman throwing 4 balls than you trying to get a hit off of him. And the fact that that guy just swung at a ball that was about to break his kneecap is probably good for his kneecap, but not good for the Royals. Oh, no, we lost Kirby again. He's going to have to come in and come out.
Are we back?
We're back.
I won't move.
We're gonna have to. You're gonna have to text me your address. I'm gonna send you your like own mixer.
I think I just need a new USB cable. I think that's all it is. I think the cable from the back that goes. I thought I had an extra one, but I didn't. I just need to spend like the $4 on Amazon and buy another one.
All right, come on. Strikes, Nick. That's what we're looking for here. I don't want to get beat by walking, guys. That's all. It's my only thing.
Especially the number 8 hole hitter.
Just strikes. No. This ballpark is fantastic. What a great ballpark, dude.
All right. One more.
All right. Come on, guys. Come on, chat. Hit the like button. Let's get it done in here. Let's get it done.
Likes for dubs.
Come on. A win
Likes
is a win is a win.
dubs.
Even if it feels gross, even if it feels like it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't matter. They all count the same, baby. Blanco. Let's throw him strikes. Something he can't turn and burn on would be great. 96-mile-an-hour fastball's middle in is not the ideal spot, but you know what? Here we are. He's showing Hunter Green the freaking slider that was about to break his kneecap, and they're laughing about it in the dugout. That is 100% what they were looking at right there. Did you see it, Nick, when you were looking down? Chat, did you see that? They were laughing at that guy that's for swinging at a pitch that literally was getting ready to hit him in the kneecap. They're like, "Hey, check this out."
Between that and that bunt attempt.
Nice
yesterday.
pitch. Let's go. Come on. Like the chat. Like the stream. Let's get it going, boys. Let's get it going.
Ooh.
He lost it a little bit. That's like completely not even close to where it was supposed to go. Little backdoor slider. Is that what we're trying to do right here? Slide right out of the zone. Yep.
Boom.
Bam. Bam. Golly day, this is fun. This is fun, Nick. Unbelievable.
Coming. Was it a run scored after the 3rd inning in this game?
Is this real life?
All right, folks.
I know it's the Royals, but you know what to do. Go ahead and hit him with it, Nick.
Go find @Reds. They just posted the final score. Reds 5, Royals 4. Put a link to our show in the replies so everyone can come join us and celebrate the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's do a show.
injured glove, throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
How sweet the sound. If we could only get like 50 more of those, maybe 55. That's being a little greedy. But nonetheless, Nick, the Reds win 5-4. I feel weird right now. I'm excited. I feel a little bit drained. I'm going to pump myself back up and remind myself about how many people told me I was an idiot for wanting to do a show on the Cincinnati Reds after every single game this year, and they were supposed to win 60-something games, and they weren't going to be any good. So that's what's going to get me kind of fired back up. But, Nick, the Cincinnati Reds are how many games out? I know it's early, but just let the people know.
Well, the Pirates are technically in first.
They
so
are.
They're still playing. So at the moment, the Reds are 3 back. I think the Reds could get a little bit closer in the wild card race.
But they also are one step closer to the place it's in second place, which is the Brewers.
Yes, the Reds are a game. The Reds are a game and a half behind the Brewers. The Reds at the moment, I think they could still drop. At the moment, they are 2 games out of a wild card spot.
All right. I have a couple, before you do the box score recap, I need to do a poll. Drew Garrison with the super chat, baby. Fire me up, Trace. Let's get juiced. We are going to get juiced on this show. My energy levels will rise. It just took me a minute to get over the heartburn that was Ian Jabot. I'm going to get there, though. I'm going to get there. I'm already there. But I do want to do some kind of housekeeping items really fast while we have this many people in the chat. Well, we'll have more probably, but nonetheless, here's the deal. I told you that we were going to do a Chatterbox Reds ballpark night, group tickets, blah, 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 blah. We're going to do that. I called the Cincinnati Reds ticket office today, the salespeople, all that. I figured out some dates. I'm going to just genuinely ask the question, how many people could go on a Monday versus a Saturday? There's not many opportunities left. No offense, but we're not going to go down there on the Taylor Swift weekend because that's just going to be an absolute zoo. It's going to be a nightmare, a mess. We're not doing it. But I'm going to put some stuff in the chat. We're going to kind of sort through all that. I need your guys' opinion on it, and we'll figure that out as the show goes on. It's not going to be the show, but I am going to put some stuff in the poll. Please vote on it, and we will go from there. So, Nick, I don't know if you want to add anything before you get into the box score recap, which is going to be very, very, very short, if any at all. Largely because this baseball game was a tale of two halves, if you will. There was a bunch of things that happened in the first few innings, and then nothing happened until the very end.
No, I'm just ready to jump into it, talk about these Cincinnati Reds, Trace.
Well, let's do it. Box score recap whenever you were ready, if I heard you right.
All right. So, bottom of the first, Reds actually fell down 1-0 in this game. On a sac fly, Brennan Williamson allowed. But in the top of the second, the Reds got cooking off of Jordan Lyles, of course, came in with an historically bad start. Spencer Steer, RBI single, tied the game at 1. Kevin Newman, RBI double, made it 2-1. Stuart Fairchild, RBI single, made it 3-1. TJ Friedel, RBI single, made it 4-1. And then the Reds scored their 5th run on a wild pitch, took a 5-1 lead. Brennan Williamson struggled a little bit after that, allowed the Royals to get back in it. Bobby Witt Jr., a home run in the 3rd, made it 5-4, but that was the last scoring in this ball game. Williamson ended up going 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, and a strikeout. The bullpen outside of Ian Jabot, though, just continued to get the job done for the Reds. Daniel Duarte, first game of the season, pitched a perfect inning. Then Jabot, of course, struggled. He walked 2 batters. Only got 1 out, but Lucas Sims picked him up in a big way. Inning in 2/3, shutout inning, struck out 3. And Alexis Diaz just with a classic, perfect 9th inning. Reds win 5-4. Reds now 33-35. The Reds have won 4 consecutive series on the road. Yes, this counts as a comeback win. Reds have their 22nd comeback of the win of the season, the most in Major League Baseball. And it looks like at the end of the day, the Reds will probably be 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. Still could potentially get to 2.5 games back in the NL Central as well.
Absolutely beautiful job, Nick. Exquisite, fantastic, all the above. There's things in the chat that I do want to address. I don't want to get them off, get us off track at the very beginning of the show. But I do think that we need to talk or discuss at some point, Nick, the idea about trying to shore up this somewhat of a starting pitching situation if we continue to play baseball that's close enough to consider us to make the playoffs, and what that looks like and how that kind of looks in the landscape of prospects versus, trading prospects, etc. Early offense. I think I want to bring up something that's kind of unique. I think there's a reason as to why the Reds are the team that's come back from the most deficits, and that's largely partly because they go down so early. I mean, I'm not trying to sound pessimistic or negative or anything like that. If anything, I'm trying to be optimistic here. The fact of the matter is when we go down 1-0, 2-0 in the first inning, and Luke Weavers of the world, and maybe not so much today with Williamson, but Luke Weavers of the world find a way to kind of figure it out, and they go 5 innings or 6 innings, and they give up 3 or 4 runs, it gives this team a chance to win. I'm not saying that I like it. It's not fun. It definitely doesn't. It doesn't allow the heart rate to ever just take a nice easy. Today was the first time, Nick, where I was watching this game and I was like, "Hell yeah, baby! This is gonna be nice and easy, relaxing. We're just gonna enjoy. We're gonna sit down, eat some chips, maybe drink a few beers, go downstairs, do a show. No problem. Boys are just ripping the ball over the yard. No, we can't do that. We gotta have Ian Jabot come in and absolutely look like, you talk about Karcher from last night. There's I don't know what Jabot's StatCast look like, but it's got to be all over the joint. And in fact, I made a joke. I don't know what your thought is on this, but I made the joke that I thought David Bell was going to come out and argue with the umpire that Ian Jabot should be thrown out of the game because he can't control his pitch. He's going to get somebody hurt. I mean, if you're going to be fair, Nick, you need to be fair on both sides.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Royals necessarily are feeling too thrilled after what they went through with Karcher last night and Jabot tonight. But that's what this team has done, Trace. They pick each other up. I mean, one side of the coin fails, the others picked them up. Sims today, and this team just keeps hanging around 33 and 35. Remarkable. I mean, they lost 6 in a row at one point this season.
Oh, I know. Kyle with the super chat says the Royals swinging at 3-0 back-to-back innings is laugh out loud. That is funny. I mean, the fact of the matter is there was the one, I think it was it with Jabot or was it with Sims, who it was 3-0 and he just kind of bailed him out, like easy rollover ground ball to first base. The other thing they did too, Kyle, they tried to take third base earlier in the game. I think it was DeWitt Jr. tried to take third base with 2 outs and 2 strikes. It's like, what are you doing? I mean, what do you think that your percentages are better to try to get to third base on a steal and then get home on some ball that you wouldn't have gotten home to from second? I mean, that's bad baseball, man. I mean, that is bad baseball. That's not saying that's the only reason why they've only won 18 or 19 games, whatever they've won, but that's probably part of the reason why. It's just horrible baseball. It's kind of fun to see when you're on the opposite side. But this ballpark, Nick, it can hold some balls. Stevenson hit a home run, if you want to call it that. I mean, to right field there in the 9th inning. It got tracked down in the warning track area. Now Diaz did give up what looked like a home run in the 9th inning too. That was just an absolute ball tanked to center field. So it gives and it takes. But the offense did look good early. TJ Friedl, it's nice to see him be back. Are we allowed to say that yet? I mean, this is kind of back-to-back games. Is he back now?
Oh, yeah. He's so back. I mean, it's back-to-back multi-hit games, right? I mean, I don't know. He's got 321 average and an 861 OPS on the season. So he walked today, too. Yeah, I know it was frustrating, but he got to sort of remember, they still got 5 runs off the starting pitcher tonight. Like
No, they did.
you know,
Yeah, it's a good point.
like they all count. Like I feel like if they had been dominated for 4 innings and they scored 5 runs in the 5th inning, it feels totally different. I mean,
Or if
I
they
just I
scored
don't
one run every inning through 5 innings, you'd be like, okay, that's a pretty good offensive output through 5 innings. I'm with you. I actually thought that myself. It's almost like everyone always wants to make fun of Trace for having his sayings and if I had to hear him say this one more time, but I'm going to say it again. Water usually finds its level, Nick. It usually does. I mean, you can go out and get hot for an inning or two, but there's a reason the Royals got they literally almost faced the minimum after the 2nd inning. It felt like.
Yeah, I mean, this dude came in with an ERA of 6.84, and it went up tonight. So, like, you did your job. And Stevenson's 9th inning was 28 out of 30. But the one Diaz was actually 0 out of 30. So it maybe was a little deceiving on the TV screen. But yeah, I mean, Friedel looked good, and then the bottom of the order just continues to produce. Newman and Fairchild both had RBIs in that stretch where they were just kept hit after hit after hit.
Yes.
And that was obviously the spot that they needed that because Lyle settled down and I mentioned this last night. He's had a couple good starts this year. This isn't a guy that every single time he's come out has gotten completely shelled. And they all count and found enough to get a win, and probably should have got an extra one in the 9th to make us feel a little better. But we'll take wins.
JB, tomorrow will not bring flashbacks of Oakland earlier this year. We will Oakland that Sunday in Oakland will forever live in infamy.
Be 500 right now, Trace. We'd be 500.
And the only thing I would say about that, JB, that you bring that up in the chat, the only thing I would say is this: that Sunday in Oakland, we had Hunter Green going on the mound. We decided to rest a bunch of guys because we had to get them ready for the Padres that we got swept by. Dare I remind you? This bullpen, I mean, I'll never let it go. I love it. But I do love David Bell lately. I think that he's been absolutely nails. He's been pushing the right buttons, and some of that's because the players have executed. I will readily admit. Sometimes it is the players. Players win, coaches lose. Bullpen. Can we be in a trust tree a little bit on Ian Jabot? I'm not suggesting that I'm overly concerned, but I am semi-concerned with Ian Jabot because I feel like maybe the stats will prove me wrong with this, and I've not looked into him. This is more of a feel saying what I'm getting ready to say. It feels like he's gotten hit harder, and he's had control issues tonight that I've never seen before, and I wonder what my confidence level is going to be if I have to bring him out again in a tough spot. It's almost like I'd like to see Ian Jabot, truthfully, I'd like to see Ian Jabot in a non-stressful situation the next time he comes out just to see what we got.
Yeah. I do feel like there's a pretty big gap between Jabot and Sims, then another pretty big gap between Sims and Diaz. But I don't know. I mean,
do you think Jabot, Chad, we'll see what your thoughts are. Do you think Jabot is where's he line up in this bullpen rotation? I mean, is Alex Young, I know, is left-handed, but I genuinely don't know. Like, you're gonna laugh at me, but is Legumina that much different than Jabot?
I feel like this is kind of a prisoner of the moment here on Jabot. I mean, he only walked one batter in his last 7-8 outings. I mean, only allowed one run. I mean, he had been pitching pretty well.
I think we're playing with fire. All I'm saying is we're playing with fire. I feel like we're playing with fire. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do a little homework. I'm going to have someone sit over my shoulder and teach me like I'm 5 years old. I want to go back and look at how many hard hit balls he's had in every inning and couple that with how many walks he's had in every inning. Now, if you can do that on the fly, more credit to you. I don't want you to feel like you need to do that right now. But I do feel like the last few outings by Jabot were, I don't know, we're starting to play with fire a little bit, and I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know who else we go to. Legumina, the kid that came in tonight looked pretty damn good. You want to talk about him?
Yeah, Daniel Duarte had been dominating at AAA Louisville. Everyone was on the Reds' case on Friday night for calling up relievers with crappy ERAs, and it was literally just to kind of help get this bullpen that needed rest. I mean, this bullpen has been used a ton. They bought a couple extra days. They were able to rest Duarte before they brought him up. I think he's going to be the guy that stays just based off the numbers, and they use their guys with options that are on the 40-man, and that's what smart teams do. Look at Tampa Bay. They have relievers coming and going every other day. But yeah, Duarte looked really good, and just good for him. I don't. A lot of people may not even remember he was actually on the opening day roster last year, and then got hurt like 2 weeks into the season. Credit to him; he got a whole year of service time out of it.
Yeah.
He got hurt on the big league roster. But back to Jabot. I mean, his StatCats page is wild. Jabot was the guy that when he came over, you looked at him and he goes, "This is a guy that strikes out a ton of guys." He's not really striking out all that many guys, but everything else looks pretty good. Lately, he really hasn't had any control problems at all. Like I said, he only walked one batter in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 outings, and one of those was 2 innings. Another one was an inning and 2/3. So I don't know. Maybe
got
it's
hard
just a
hit
bad
balls
night.
on there.
It doesn't give you that on the fly,
Right.
but his
That's all right.
his average, but for the season, his average exit velocity is in the 94th percentile. Hard hits in the 96th percentile. Expected batting average is in the 86th percentile. So that's all really, really good.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can't just pull up a game log to tell you hard hit balls for each game. You have to like click into each game, and that would obviously take a little more.
Not super simple. Not super simple is what we're getting at. But overall, this bullpen, we've talked about this every single night. Every single time they win, they seem to always be a factor in the baseball game. I don't know. I think it's the strength of this team. I hesitantly say that because Ellie De La Cruz makes a pretty damn big difference in the lineup. I know he's not on the rundown, and maybe we'll sneak him in right now really quickly. I know here's the thing with Ellie. I'm not that overly concerned. I think he's overthinking this a little bit, Nick. I know he got off to a great start, but he almost seems like he's trying to be a little too patient for my liking. Like it's almost like someone got in his ear and said, "Listen, when you get to the major league level, son, you're not going to be able to chase all these balls. You're not going to be able to, be as aggressive as you normally typically would." Ellie at some point I think will settle in. He'll be a little more aggressive. But the thing with Ellie is, we've talked about this time and time again, man. He could have a bad game. We'll call it whatever, statistical nature. He doesn't get a hit, blah, blah, blah. But he gets on base with a walk, and he finds his way to third with nobody out. It's hard for me to want to take him out of the lineup. I seen someone say that maybe, I'm assuming that's the top G for Modern Warfare 2 in the chat. He's saying Ellie might need a day off. I don't know. I mean, maybe just because you want to rest guys, but overall speaking, he's too beneficial. He's too beneficial in the field. He's too beneficial in the base paths. He can still run into baseballs. It's not like he's horrible in regards to being able to put a bat on a ball. So I don't know, man. I'm just wondering, how do I say this? I don't want to change. I don't want to say anything right now, chat. But this mojo that we got going on right now, maybe it won't be sustained forever. And I would venture to say it's probably not. But I don't want to touch it until it's actually broken. And I know that that's probably not going to happen, Nick, because there's guys that are down in AAA. They're on rehab assignments. They're going to start making decisions. I'm going to say something that everyone in the chat that's been here from the beginning is not going to believe. But Kevin Newman deserves to play a lot of baseball. He does, Nick. He's been playing absolutely fantastic, dude.
Lefty tomorrow. I do just have to point out that I get so much grief for putting Ellie on the rundown, and you're forcing Ellie into the bullpen section of the conversation.
No, I forced him in the transition from the bullpen to Brandon Williamson because I wanted to bring up something positive before we got to Williamson.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, he did still score a run today. Reds are off Thursday. I could see them giving him tomorrow off and giving him like that 2-day rest that David Bell likes. That's possible, but they are off Thursday, so
yeah,
I don't know. I'm fine either way. It wouldn't honestly. If they play tomorrow, great. If they give him a day off, like I see why you do both. It's not gonna matter to me.
Okay, Brandon Williamson. I don't know, Nick. I mean, I watch him pitch, Nick, and I think to myself, is there anything that I see that he does that makes me think, if he figures this part out, he's got something. I'm not trying to sound too over the top with this. I just watch him pitch, man. And it's just, I just don't see it. If he had immense control, Nick, if he was like Abbott, I think Abbott still can run a fastball up there 94, 95 miles an hour. I don't even want to compare the two. I think that's being absolutely disrespectful to Abbott. But if he could control his pitches and have command of 3 or 4 pitches, then maybe I could come to grips with the idea of maybe him being able to be a full-time, everyday, count on it major league starter. But he did kind of get rushed up here, if we're being honest. When I say rushed, I mean it wasn't like he was killing it down in AAA. It seems as if we're to the point now where who's the next man up? I'm not saying he's not going to get another start. Let me be clear. He's going to keep throwing because I don't know if there's a better option readily available. But my question to you, Nick, and the chat, and pretty much everyone is do we think this guy is actually a major league pitcher? And what's the next option as we start to progress through the season, if there is one?
I mean, Williamson has exceeded expectations. I guess you have to start there. I feel like Williamson in himself isn't really a problem, just like Luke Weaver in himself isn't really a problem, just like Ben Lively in himself isn't really a problem. But when you have these 3 guys going back to back to back, like if it was just one of them, it's fine. Like every team has their Ben Lively.
It's kind of like a shot of tequila at the bar, Nick. You take one, it's all right. You take 2 in 2 minutes, all right. You take 3 in 3 minutes, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We might have a problem on our hands. That's kind of what this bullpen ends up, or not the bullpen. That's what the starting pitching staff looks like.
Well, thankfully, Kansas City's very hospitable with their watering holes, but other establishments won't be as kind to us if we keep running these 3 back to back to back. Yeah, again, every team has starters like this. It's just 3 of them's really, really asking for trouble as the season goes on. But yeah, there's not really. I mean, Connor Phillips looks great, but Connor Phillips is still in Double-A. I don't like the idea of jumping in from Double-A straight to the big leagues. You haven't done that with anyone else. Everyone else has been a nice trajectory, and most of them have come up and had some success. I stick with that plan. You don't really look to rush anyone. But I mean, there's nothing at triple. I mean, you could go to like some bullpen games, but
right.
I mean, that's asking for it too, because it's not like the other 4 starters are going to go, 6 innings every night. So I think it just kind of is what it is for right now, and you hope that Graham Ashcraft can get back soon.
Yeah, I mean, this kid
and right.
The kid got drafted out of a JUCO. He's 22 years old, Connor Phillips. I'm not saying you rush him up here, Nick, but I do think that it's probably time for AAA. And you let him see, and you see what happens in a couple starts. Just similar to what you did with Abbott. It's like, okay, you threw Abbott up in AAA. Not a whole lot changed. You have a need in that area. You run him out there. You see what he's got. You see if he sticks. If he sticks, great. If he doesn't, then that's fine. Not a big deal. Like I said before, you can go back down and we can figure it out. So we're really in a spot at this point, Nick, where I'm actually not even gonna say it because I am a little superstitious. But we from a depth perspective, we need to be careful. Like we're getting to a point right now where our depth is very, very thin in the starting pitching area, and we need all the help we can get. And hopefully Ashcraft comes back too. Like we can't give up on Ashcraft. I know that I'm an Ashcraft stan. I still think he's got what it takes to be great. I'd like to think they used the ball off of the calf as an excuse, Nick, to get him a rehab assignment. I think that's what they did. If he was throwing, put it this way, if he had a sub-2 ERA this year or 2.5 ERA this year, let's be frank, Graham Ashcraft probably maybe missing 1 start, but he's right back and he's throwing on the major league roster. They're like, hey, we're going to milk this thing. He's going to go on the IL. He's going to go down there and get a rehab. We're going to see if we can't get this thing straightened up and get him back up here. So that worked out absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. One more point on Williamson. I will give the guy some credit because talked a million times about how many guys this guy walked down in the minor leagues. Didn't walk a single batter tonight. And as bad as he was, that was the difference between what he did, and he got his first big league win tonight. So congrats to him. I don't really believe in wins, but congrats if you're into that thing. But he didn't walk anyone, and that was the difference between him and Jordan Lyles tonight. I mean, I don't know. Like I look at his line, he only gave up 3 earned runs. One of those was unearned, right?
Hold on. Yeah. Finish your thought, man. Gabe is with the super chat with an absolute banger. I'm gonna.
It was his own error though. So
it was his own error. It was an absolutely disgusting pitcher only athleticism move. What is up with these pitchers sometimes, man? They're disgusting. They look like they've never played baseball once they leave that little dirt mound. They can't catch pop-ups. They can't do anything. But Gabe with the super chat, I'm going to do my best for this one. Ready? Peace on earth and mercy mild, Reds and winning reconciled, joyful all ye Reds fans, rise, join the triumph of our guys. What a beautiful poem and or whatever that actually is. I'm my apologies for not knowing what that actually is. I failed English. Damn it, Bobby. You failed English. Damn it, Bobby. We speak English. Anybody see that show? All right. If you haven't.
What is that in? I know.
King of the Hill.
Okay.
Anyway, that's here nor there. Another shout out. Yep. Give Sam Hubbard a shout out behind the plate. You could actually you could actually audibly hear him through the broadcast from time to time. He was giving the umpire credit when he was calling balls in the outside corner. He was calling all the guys by their first name like he knew them. It was great. It was absolutely great.
The belief sign, did he wait to bring that out to like the most pivotal point in the game too?
He had a Chiefs sign?
No, he had a Ted Lasso belief sign.
Oh, a belief sign. Did not see that.
I tweeted a picture of it.
Okay, well I'll find it. I'll look it up yeah.
But I think our guy hadn't pulled it out, had it just sitting there the entire game, and didn't pull it out until like Lucas Sims was like had 2 strikes with 2 outs, and then he put the sign up. It was perfect. And then Sadak with the great barbecue sauce call. I don't know if that was Ted Lasso or it added to that, or if that was like kind of pre-planned as just because of Kansas City. If he was also doing the Ted Lasso because he saw the belief sign, that's really on. Really on.
You're thinking that's ultimate? That's the ultimate King Me moment?
Yeah.
I've watched every episode of Ted Lasso. I don't know the reference point of barbecue sauce with Ted Lasso, though.
Well, Ted's also from Kansas City, isn't he?
Okay. All right. Well, maybe so. I didn't know that.
And he talks about Kansas City barbecue a lot, doesn't he?
Well, that's fair. I just didn't know the barbecue sauce from Ted Lasso. Okay. I see
Spoiler
your picture.
alert.
Yep. I see it. What? Anyway. All right. Let's get back to baseball. Let's do this. There is Reds MLB to get into. Chat, if you have anything we want to talk about, Nick, I don't know if you got a chance to look through the comments. I'll actually see if there was a correct score. But as always, I want to remind everybody, when this stream is over, if you can guess the score for tomorrow's game and you pick somebody that hits a home run, just one person, by the way. You can't go through the whole lineup. I've seen people picking 2 and 3 guys that are going to hit a home run. We can't be playing those games. One guy that hits a home run, pick the score. If you win or if you get it right, you get tickets to a game. Simple as that.
Well, I'll save you some time, Trace. No one hit a home run for the Reds.
I know. I was well aware of that. But I just want to make sure, chat, to be clear, not in this live chat right now. When this show is over, it takes a little bit of work. Okay? It takes a little bit of work. You know? Good things come from things that are hard to accomplish. You got to wait till the show's over, and then you got to go back into our comments. You just go into the comments, put the score, let it rip, and pick someone that's going to hit a home run. All right. I do want to talk a little bit about 2 things, and I don't want to get down to a rabbit hole tonight. I don't want to try to make this anything more than it needs to be, but I do want to have a small conversation around what the Reds probably should and could do with all of these roster moves and what is sitting right here in front of us, Nick. No one wants to talk about it because it's actually a difficult thing to discuss, which is What do we do with this team that's winning now, that has good mojo, that has good vibes, and you look down at the AAA lineup, and you have Myers, you have Senzel, you have Votto.
Why don't we do this, Trace? Why don't we run through what happened in AAA today
Let's
and
do
then
that.
go back to that conversation, and we'll finish the Reds MLB after that.
That sounds great. Let's do it.
All right. So AAA, Louisville Pats lost 18-7 tonight to St. Paul. The Twins, they finally got even with us for stealing Spencer Steer and Christian Encarnacion Strand. Bats 35-27 on the season. CES, just a casual 1 for 3 with a double and 2 walks.
There
Joey
he goes.
Votto 0 for 3, did walk twice. Votto now hitting 159 and 63 at bats with Louisville. Will Myers, he hit a 3-run bomb, 106.5.
What was he? 1 for what?
400 and he hit a bomb.
What was he? 1 for what?
416 feet. 1 for 4. 1 for 4. But
yeah.
he hit a home run. Nick Senzel, 2 for 3 with a walk. Henry Ramos, who actually officially got optioned to AAA, no longer on a rehab assignment, though, 2 for 4 with the walk. Ramos at AAA this season, Trace hitting 323 with a 972 OPS. And then Matt Reynolds, just another, if this was any other season, Matt Reynolds would be finding a way onto the Reds roster. Yep. And this guy's 2 for 5. He has 10 home runs, OPS over 1,000. He's over 150 at bats now. On the pitching side, not as good. Kevin Herget, his first game back with Louisville, gave up 8 hits, 7 runs, tough one. Eduardo Salazar, his first game back with Louisville, hitting a third. He gave up 4 runs. And then Tony Santillan made his debut. Only got 1 out, gave up 3 hits, but he didn't walk anyone. So there you go.
What is that, by the way? What was that segment you just did?
Reds MLB halftime presented by Betfred Sportsbook.
Love it. All right, there you go. All right, I'm going to go scoreboard watching for just a second here. I'm sure you already have it up. And looks like the Cubs are leading 4-3. It is currently, where are we at here? We're in the bottom of the 7th. They got first and second with 1 out. So the Cubs are still threatening. So, hey, you never know. Cubs are pretty bad, so they might blow it. You never know. All right, let's do this. Does anybody actually think in the chat? All right, I'm going to end this poll just because I think we've had enough votes. Saturday, Monday, it's one of those toss-ups. Cool. All right. I think we just do another poll question. The poll question is simply, if you had to make a decision right now, do any of the 3 guys on the AAA lineup, in the AAA lineup tonight, deserve to be back and playing regular roles for the Cincinnati Reds in the near future?
Pre-trade deadline.
Pre-trade deadline. I'm talking about next week. Tough answer. Now, some of it might be depend on whether they're healthy, but I'm just saying if they were healthy, is any of them? Does a single one of them deserve any kind of regular time?
Reds are just in such a weird spot. I mean, there's value to these small trades that you can get at the deadline.
And I'm not talking about CES because you guys know my opinion on CES. We're not talking about him.
I'm starting to think Nick Senzel, they may be really trying to showcase him right now. The fact that he's playing third base at AAA when there's already a million infielders right now that we want playing time to go to makes me think they're wanting to bring him up and showcase him for the next 6 weeks. Do you have another explanation for that?
No.
Why would you play him at third base right now?
Because you have another guy on their active roster that you think you might trade?
Yeah, but are you really going to trade Kevin Newman before Nick Senzel's rehab assignment's up?
I'm just saying they might think to themselves, if they trade Kevin Newman, they can get away with it regardless, even though he's hot right now. They could venture to say right now that Kevin Newman's stock is high as it'll ever get, maybe. But I'm not pro trade Kevin Newman. I'm just throwing out the hypothetical of how you could make the argument as to why Senzel would be in that spot and why he could still be a part of the organization. I'm not trying to say that I believe in that they should trade Kevin Newman, but one would argue that maybe this is a good opportunity to move Kevin Newman if there's a team that needs him. I don't know. What is the outlook right now in Major League Baseball for a guy like Kevin Newman? Is that a hot commodity? It's hard to say for me because I don't watch enough around the league baseball to know. But
let's just give an example. Go back to 2021, the Reds. That team had a massive deficiency in their ability to left-handed pitching. It was their biggest flaw.
Mm-hmm.
They were awful. Like, that team could have absolutely used Kevin Newman. They could have found a way to play him every single game against left-handed pitching. So I have to think there's probably a team that kind of fits that mold. The Reds just have too many like pretty good players, like okay players. Like Will Myers, I mean, like, as much as I've led the Stuart Fairchild fan club, like, Will Myers is a better player than it is worth a shot if you're trying to like be in a pennant race more than Stuart Fairchild, Jose Barrero, or TJ Hopkins. Maybe he platoons, but I mean, this guy has an incredible track record against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, well, Johnny Bench could hit left-handed pitching too, but we're not calling him out of his cave in Indiana right now to have him come back and hit.
I don't know. He has 127 at-bats in the big league this year.
Will Myers for me. It was a nice try. It was a good attempt. I appreciate you coming to Cincinnati and giving us a thought. However, I got to be honest. Will Benson, okay, plays good outfield. Stuart Fairchild plays good outfield. I've come around on Stuart Fairchild enough to at least admit I don't know if he's ever going to hit consistently. But I think Stuart Fairchild actually does bring something on the defensive side of the ball that shouldn't go unnoticed. Will Myers is not that guy. I mean, Will Myers is supposed to hit the baseball. Are you going to sit here and try to tell me that Will Myers is going to play as good defense as Will Benson and or Stuart Fairchild? Because that's not the case.
No, but I mean, this guy has had an OPS over 800 for 6 consecutive years against left-handed pitching. I think that he's the kind of guy that could actually bring you power. Like, I know we're talking about we need CES because we're power deficient. I mean, this guy's hit quite a few home runs in the big leagues. He hit the thought bringing him into Great American Ballpark was bringing him into a smaller ballpark. He can really kind of tap into some of that.
But you got to get rid of somebody then, though. You can't have your cake and eat it too, Nick. Like, if you're going to bring Will up and you're going to give him at bats, who's he taking at bats from? That's the issue. And Barrero's got to go too, by the way. Barrero deserves to play baseball. He's just absolutely got splinters up his ass.
But the difference between Stuart Fairchild, Will Benson, and Jose Barrero is the other 3 guys can all go down to AAA, and you keep them in your organization. Will Myers, you have to choose. You either put him in the major leagues or you dump him. Like, there's no, like, is it really going to kill Stuart Fairchild? I feel bad for Stuart Fairchild. He's played really well of late. He's done a great job. But is it really going to kill him to send him down for 3 weeks while you see if Will Myers has anything left in the tank? And then if Will Myers doesn't, we DFA him or bring Stuart back. Says, hey, sorry, Stuart, we screwed up. Here's your chance again. Like, is that really that big of a deal? Like, is the difference between Stuart Fairchild and Will Myers, even if Will Myers is bad, really moving the needle that much?
What is it that Will Myers would have to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks to show another general manager that he's deserving of a shot at their organization when they have playoff baseball to play in? That's the only argument I would make back to this, Nick, is if this was a situation right now where this team wasn't winning baseball games and or they were just mediocre at best and they didn't have good vibes and they weren't playing, meaningful baseball. I've said it 1,000 times. I'm not just saying meaningful baseball from the standpoint of us saying, we want to see prospects. I'm talking about the fact that we're, not trying to jinx it, but we're about to be 2.5 games out of first place in the NL Central.
Well, number one, I think Will Myers. I'm sorry. I still think Will Myers, if he were in a playoff race, would be a great platoon bat to have. He has a great track record. I think that another general manager, though, if we're looking at flipping, which is what we thought was the goal all along, and probably still is, if he gets hot over the next 3 weeks, it's not like a guy that got hot that has no track record. This is a guy that 7 out of the last 8 years has had an OPS plus above 100, and the only year he didn't, it was 96. So I just, if you're looking for a veteran bat and he comes up and he gets hot, and then you can say, well, he's been a guy that started slow, and there's numbers that back that up. He was also hurt. I think another general manager might be like, yeah, you know what? Hey, I'll give up my Hector Rodriguez for him. I mean, Tyler Naquin wasn't playing very well last year, but he was a guy that, hey, he's a veteran. He's a guy that could, platoon.
They lost 100 games last year, though, Nick. That's the only point I'm trying to make. This year, they're not losing 100 games. You can play whatever games you can do whatever you want when you lose 100 games in a year. What's it matter?
But getting Hector Rodriguez matters too.
Yeah, but we're not going to sit around and try to get some. And I'm not saying Hector Rodriguez might matter. Okay, let's make sure we keep that clear. Second of all, I'm not going to sit around and just play a guy in hopes that I'm going to get some throw-in prospect that's in single A as a lottery ticket. That to your point that you've said 1,000 times, they might turn out to be perfect lottery tickets. Not to say they're going to be L.A. De La Cruz lottery ticket, but they might end up being a great player in an organization that you need. But I'm to the point now where if that's where we're at, I think I'm willing to at least come to grips and understand that I like to reward some of these younger guys for playing well at the major league level and not just send them down to AAA because I have options. And we'll see. I mean, I get what you're trying to say. I think it's rooted in a good thought. Mine's just rooted in the psychological effect of what it could have to the team as a whole when you bring in a boat anchor and you stick him out in right field for a week and you're 2.5 games out of first place. He's 1 for 14, neck gator or non-neck gator. The guy can't hit. He can't hit sand if he fell off a camel's back. And next thing you know, you go from 2.5 out of first place down to you get swept somewhere, and you're 4.5 out of first place. And the next thing you know, the vibes are different because you decided to put a boat anchor out in right field instead of just keeping what you had and what's winning. That's all.
Well, we should also add that Will Myers has only played 3 rehab games. So a decision on Will Myers doesn't need to be made. I think they probably should, unless Will just gets incredibly hot over the next week. I think they probably should run that full 21 days. So he's still, I think he came up June 9th, so he's only on like day 4 or 5. So as we know, as we've seen in this baseball season, a lot can happen in 15 days, right?
They can.
The Reds could completely fall out of the race. I hate to say it, that's possible. Or the Reds could be 3 games up in 15 days, or be right where we're at again, or there could be some injuries, or there could be a million things that happen. So it's not really a decision that needs to be made now. I just think if Will Myers shows some signs in AAA and looks good over the next 15 days or so, I think you have to give him a shot. And it doesn't have to be a long shot; it can be a short leash. But I just don't think. I think he has more upside to this team than Stuart Fairchild has in 2023.
All right. Mike brings up a good question in the chat. He said, if you had to trade or send away one catcher, who is it? I hate to say this, but I think it's Casale for me.
I think so,
but it doesn't mean that I don't love Casale. Actually, he saved the game last night. But it doesn't. I say that very hesitantly, right? Because Tyler Stevenson has a severe issue when it comes to this whole pitcher's ERA thing. We all jokingly said, "Oh, what's that matter?" That might just be one of those weird stats where you go out there and on any given day, one guy has a bad outing because you just were behind the plate, had nothing to do with you. Listen, I seen all I needed to see a little bit tonight. Perez was at the plate tonight, and I know I tweeted out all caps. I was absolutely pissed, hotter than a firecracker watching the game. But Lucas Sims throws a fastball to Perez, and he blows it right by Perez. If Perez got another opportunity to swing again and he knew it was coming, I don't think he would have hit it regardless. Okay? Stevenson then proceeds to call like 6 straight sliders. The count runs 3-2, They finally throw a fastball, and it blows. It literally blows Perez right out the water again. I just don't fathom, if you're sitting there as a catcher, how you throw 6 straight sliders in that spot, and that is somewhat even possible, especially when he was struggling with his command with the slider a little bit. So those are the small things, and again, I'm not going to try to say that that's exactly why Stevenson can't catch. He's not able to catch. He's never going to be able to be a guy that can lead a pitching staff. None of that. I'm not trying to kill him, but it's like I don't know if the instincts are there. Like I don't know if that's I don't want to say it's a natural God-given talent, but you would like to have a little more feel than what he had. Yeah, and we did, Troy. We got the barbecue sauce call out of it, thankfully. And the Cowboy in the booth, I think he was begging for a fastball, if I remember correctly. Not that I think that everything the Cowboy says is 100% accurate, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sally, obviously, you worry about you dump him, and what happens to the pitching staff? Because I feel like he's had a big.
Well, the pitching staff sucks.
He's been a big part of that. The
starting pitching staff is not good.
Yeah, but is he? I don't know. Is he helping the relievers? I don't know. I feel like he definitely has some value there. Again, I do like to remind people, like Jose Barrero has not played since Friday, so that last spot on the roster is not used all that much.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So
Barrero's the odd man out.
So I mean, again, like if you want to bring up, whoever, like that last spot's probably not going to play. So if it is a catcher, it's not. I just don't think it's a big. Getting rid of a catcher doesn't really solve a problem. It just, instead of having someone in AAA, you get an extra person that's going to sit on the bench and never play. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. If you're just now tuning in, please do us a favor. We appreciate you watching this dumb show. We're going to continue to call it a dumb show because that's what it feels like. It's just a dumb show that we do. We get on here, we have fun, we talk about Reds baseball. You guys are great in the chat. There's funny people in the chat. There's actually serious people in the chat that bring up good points, and then there's just people in the chat that are just here to stir the pot. And I kind of see right through it, but I think it's funny, so I let it go. But we have 218 people in here. We have 126 likes. If you could like the stream, that would be fantastic. If we can get to 150, maybe we can get to 150 here. That'd be kind of cool. I think we might have 200. I think is a record. There's 221 people watching. Not to put you on the spot, but there's 221 people watching. 200 likes is 100% a record. Not trying to say we want to break it tonight, but ball's in your court. Final thoughts on the catcher situation. I don't really want to touch it unless we have to, which brings me to my final point with Barrero. Barrero's the odd man out. I don't know how long this is going to go until we bring him to the point where he has to go down. It's not fair to Barrero.
I think it's just a 40-man thing. I think that's the only reason he's still
CES has to come up soon. I mean, at some point I'm going to make a bid out of this. I don't know how much longer I'd wait until I make a bid out of it. I don't understand how he's not up. Yeah, I don't understand how he's not up.
I think it's just all these other.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with him.
Such a good, weird, bad, strange problem to have.
Yeah. Nick Kral's hoping somebody kind of gets hurt a little bit. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really do think Nick Krall. You're not saying it. I'm not saying you're saying it. I'm saying it. Nick Krall right now is sitting up in the booth or wherever he's at in a baseball game, and he's thinking, if I could just get one of these guys that play in the outfield just to tweak something, besides TJ Friedel, to be clear, just to tweak something for a minute to where I can start to get some more of these guys some reps, CES some reps up here, then that would be beautiful. Otherwise, trades do have to come. Trades have to be coming. There's no other option, Nick. There's too many guys that actually you could make a case for playing in the big leagues. There has to be a trade coming. Would you be upset if they got rid of let me ask you a question. Would you be upset if they packaged Senzel and Kevin Newman or Will Myers or someone like that? Maybe that's too many people for one team. They don't want both of those guys, but for just a middle of the road starter.
Senzel and who else?
Like Will Myers or Newman or just one of those kind of utility players.
No.
Yeah, like
No, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I mean,
I feel like they could go get Corbin, who's been the worst starting pitcher in the entire league. Has had some success. I know they
Corbin
could,
for nothing.
I know. Well, I know they could, but I'm saying Reds fans would actually be like, "Oh, fine, I don't care." Maybe
Maybe
not.
they could get the. I mean, maybe if you throw in someone, maybe they'd be willing to eat a little bit more of the money. But I don't think Senzel would, because Senzel actually costs a little bit.
Yeah,
I'll throw.
But
I'll throw.
Senzel doesn't. Senzel's availability is where I just don't know how much value he has. If I'm a general manager, the first thing I'm telling Nick Krall is like, yeah, it's great. I seen he's NL Player of the Week. I see the tools he has. I see all that. But he does nothing for me if he's never available. And he's not been available for most of his career.
Senzel's like the one weird player in this roster where you almost feel like he would be a guy going to a non-contender would want him more than a contender. Like everyone else, like Will Myers, like Kevin Newman, they're like, bench or platoon guys. But Nick Senzel's almost like that guy that, like if the Reds had like this version of Nick Senzel last year, like that would have been great. Like there was so many lineups the Reds ran out last year. I mean,
right.
Like they had Albert Almora Jr. and Arroyo Lopez and the list goes on of like just some like that played over and over again. I do think a team that needs like the Kansas City Royals would love to have a Nick Senzel, right? I mean, like he'd probably be hitting second for them tomorrow.
I know, but what's the point?
Well, he's still got a couple years of control. I mean, you're kind of Nick Senzel's kind of like you're hoping like.
I'm being a little facetious. I'm just saying they're terrible. I know it would be nice to make a trade for the Royals though. They got Greinke. I seen people in the chat. They want Chapman.
Senzel for Chapman.
Yeah, what a wild world that would be.
There you go, Nick. We got it for you. I'm gonna throw one out. I'm gonna throw something out to you.
Yeah, hit me with it.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this. Is there any possibility of trading CES?
No. Get the fuck off. Get it out of here. This is a kid show, but that's ridiculous.
Like the New York Mets. Like they need a big bat.
What do we know? We need a big bat. Do you not see this lineup? Nick, unplug your microphone for a minute. Golly day. What are we doing?
I'm just throwing it out there. I kind of thought, like, hey, they've kept it down there for a while. Could they be thinking about moving him?
No, man.
Well, okay. I don't know every other team.
This guy could be like Mark McGwire or something. We don't know.
Oh wow, the chat is killing me. All right, let's say CES
should be they should be killing
CES me. For an Andrew Abbott clone.
No.
You would? Okay. All right.
I listen. Do you? I'm not saying you. What I'm trying to get at is, yes, I'm a CES stan. Maybe I'm sitting here making too much out of a guy that's only played in AAA and he's not one of the top prospects in baseball. But for God's sakes, this guy has 80 grade power, mishits baseballs off of his hands, and he's hitting them 395 feet. Put this guy in Great American Ballpark at the DH spot and let him play every single day. And the next thing you know, we have something we've never had before. Meanwhile, right. not to be too crappy about our own players. Meanwhile, we're out here with a DH with no offense, but it'll be lucky to hit 15 home runs this year.
All right, CES for
no
Andrew Abbott and Alexis Diaz clone.
Nick, you're doing something that's not fair. Are you getting me 6 years of team control with an Andrew Abbott
team control
and Diaz? Diaz 6 years. Diaz. Let me be very clear when I say this because I don't want this to get misconstrued. 6 years of CES trading it away for 6 years of an Alexis Diaz of his production right now and Andrew Abbott of a 0 ERA. I think I would actually take that.
That's what I'm saying. Is there out there. I'm not saying you're not trying to give the guy away.
No, I'm not giving it. Listen, I honestly, you know what I would do? I would buy a fart machine if I was Nick Kroll. And if somebody called me up and said, hey, what would it take about Nick Senzel, or not Nick Senzel, but like, what would it take to get CES? I would literally just hit the fart machine, put the phone right next to it, and just keep hitting it until they hung up. That's how I would handle that negotiation. Now, you want to talk about Will Myers? Send a bucket of bubble gum. You want to talk about Barrero? Throw in a bag of balls and maybe a guy that might help me out in 15 years if everything goes perfectly right. Send him along, bring him back. That's fine. But I'm not trading CES. Not happening. But you know why? You know why this is not happening? Because I have to remind everybody. Yeah, Trace, CES Stan Trace. He was the best hitter this baseball team had in spring training. The freaking best hitter. The best out of everybody. Okay? He goes to AAA off of his, rehab assignment or whatever you want to call it. He was hurt, so he couldn't break camp with the big league club because he was hurt. So he goes down to AAA. What's he do? He's the best hitter down there when you have guys like Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz on the team. You tell him to walk, Nick? He's like, okay, fine. You want me to walk? I'll walk. But you know what else? I like hitting home runs, so I swing at baseballs that are a little outside the zone. Sure enough, he's a bad ball hitter, like somebody's been saying on this show from the get-go. Somebody also said on this show that Will Myers was a boat anchor 3 weeks into the season, and he's continued to be a boat anchor. And someone else, I don't know, it wasn't Nick, but it was somebody told me that he was going to have a higher OPS than Spencer Steer. I don't know who it was, but I'm just saying that was a real conversation we had on this stream. I also told everybody that Tyler Stevenson defensively looked pretty terrible the first week, and everyone wanted to say, oh, toxic Trace. I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm right on everything because I'm not, because I was wrong on Kevin Newman. But I'm not trading CES unless they're sending some ridiculous.
I wouldn't do CES for Judge. This is what you've created, Trace.
That's what I'm talking about, Mr. Juan. Nobody.
We'll trade the National League Rookie of the Year, but don't you touch a guy in AAA.
Oh, shut your mouth. Did you not see that ball that dropped in Did you not see that ball that was out in the right field today and the second baseman wasn't able to catch it? Did you see that? It wasn't even down the line. The ball was like right in front of the right fielder, and sure enough, it dropped. Now, we did get a double play the very next pitch, so I didn't tweet about it. But don't you think that I wasn't digging up my old tweet about that ball that McClain caught in the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, I mean, there's nobody on this team that can hit for power like CES. There's players on this team that can fill holes in the infield. Just saying.
In the starting pitching rotation, there's not holes? I was just throwing it out there. Like I'm not in a rush to trade the guy. I'm just saying, if a team offered me a ton of pitching for him, buy low, sell high.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You want to talk about pissing off a fan base? Go right for it. Good luck sleeping at night, Nick. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Crawl. All right. Anything left to discuss on this lovely Tuesday evening? The Reds win again. As a reminder, they win 5-4 over the Kansas City Royals. That puts them at how many wins, Nick? How many wins is that?
33.
33 and 35, 16 and 17 on the road. We were atrocious on the road. We've kind of turned that around, if we're being quite frank. And on top of that, just so you know, the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs, are leading 8-3. That game is in the bottom of the eighth. The Cubs do have a man on first base with 1 out, so they are threatening again. So game's not over because the Cubs stink. Like I said before, you never know with them because they're not very good. But you'd like to think they can hold on to that. We're getting close.
I see 3 more minor league teams to run through here.
Do it then. I thought you what?
No, we stopped after Louisville to talk about
where
we're
sorry.
Gonna play everyone. We're going to play everyone. All right, Double A, Chattanooga, 4-3 winners over Rocket City. Reese Hines hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th. It was his second home run of the day. Reese Hines was 4 for 4 on the day. Now it's 8 home runs in the year. Really starting to come around. Chattanooga, 32-25 on the season, 18-7 in their last 25 games. But the big story of the night was Connor Phillips, as we mentioned earlier in the show. 6 innings pitched. Did allow 7 hits, 2 earned runs, but no walks and 12 strikeouts. Phillips, 3.57 ERA, but he has 101 strikeouts in 52 innings pitched this season. The Dayton Dragons, they were rained out. They'll be playing a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 5:35. Edwin Arroyo carrying an 11-game hit streak for the Dragons. And then Daytona, they also won in the 10th inning, also on a walk-off. A Carlos Jorge walk-off double in the 10th inning for their 5-4 win over Jupiter. Carlos Jorge put up an incredible stat line. 2 for 4, a double, a triple, a walk, and his 19th stolen base of the season, hitting .301 with an .876 OPS. Sal Stewart also hit a home run, his second of the season. And then Logan Tanner, second round draft pick last year, or third round draft pick last year, catcher, 2 for 4 with a double. Reds MLB presented by Bedford Sportsbook.
I was wondering why you're like halftime. I'm like, what the hell's he talking about? That just went right over my head. I do want to say again, thank you for the super chats, Drew, Kyle, and Gabe. As we always do, I just want to say thank you for watching this show. This dumb show. It is in podcast form, however. The poll question that I proposed earlier, do any of the 3 AAA guys deserve some time down there? 74% of the time. 74% said did say yes. So that's actually a little bit different than I thought. But it's a beautiful thing, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Enjoy it while you can. The fact that my heart's pumping, baby. It's pumping. June 13th. Almost to the middle of the month. And this Reds baseball team is fighting for their lives. And their starting pitching's been bad. Really bad. If their starting pitching can just get lucky and clean it up a little bit, you never know. You never know. But the beautiful thing is, Nick, they play every day. And what do we do every day, Nick? What do?
We talk about the next game.
We do. We talk about the next game because we're here every single night. Nick, who, where, when, and maybe even why?
All right, Reds, Royals 8-10 tomorrow. Reds have already won the series, looking for a sweep. Be on Bally Sports Ohio. Reds will be going up against Daniel Lynch. He's got a fastball, can touch up to 99. Very inconsistent season so far. Was a top 25 prospect in all of baseball entering 2021, but he's been up and down over the last 2 years with a bunch of injuries. So kind of expect a platoon-looking lineup tomorrow. Ben Lively, he had that 1.99 ERA in May, but has really struggled. 7.9 ERA in 2 starts in June. He'd only allowed 3 home runs in May, already allowed 5 home runs in those 2 starts in June. Never faced the Royals before, so it will be start number 1 for Lively against the Royals. Hopefully Lively can get it done. Hopefully the Reds can get out of town with a sweep. Off day on Thursday, and then a really big series in Houston starting on Friday.
Big game tomorrow. Big game tomorrow. Getaway day. It also does feel like one of those situations where we're going in to play a team that is very, very good. We know that. We're going to Houston after this. It feels very similar to a time that we were out in the Coliseum, perhaps, on a Sunday, if you know what I'm saying. You need to find a way to win a baseball game tomorrow. Nick, I love that you're preparing the pillow. You need to give the people what they want. Let's give the people what they want in full force. Do I have the ability to do that on here? I don't even know if I do. I'll be honest with you.
That's good enough. I mean, you get the whole thing. There you go.
Looks good.
Cage comes out for wins. Cage loves dubs.
Looks good. All right. As always, I want to say to you from the bottom of my heart, the fact that you watch this show every day, we do appreciate. The fact that we have 164 likes in here is absolutely absurd. If you have not liked the stream, like it now. If you haven't downloaded, rated, reviewed our podcast, please go and do that. Thom Brennaman does do a show off the bench. Tomorrow, we do have a special guest fill-in for Thom. Thom is actually going to Indiana for his son's orientation. But that's here nor there. Because we do Chatterbox Reds. We need you to download, rate, review that podcast. We're like at 20th in the world of baseball podcasts, people. 20th in the world. If you go download, rate, and review, we might just get a little bit higher. And you know what we say on this show? We're always one like, one review, one everything away from being another win away for this baseball team that plays in Cincinnati. Nick, it's time for a dunk. Let's do it. And as always, go Reds.